I think the biggest mistake that I have ever made in my life, and it still haunts me to this day, was in my 20s. I'm pretty sure that putting myself behind everybody else, putting my needs behind everybody else's needs, which was a choice that I made because I thought there'd always be time to turn things around, turned out to be a huge mistake. It's essentially directed the course of my life for the last while, for at least a decade. All I do is think about the ifs and the ands and the maybes and the buts and the could have beens and the should have beens and the would have beens. I feel like I wasted a lot of potential and that I was a pretty ambitious person. And I think that I appear to be lazy maybe and not ambitious now. But honestly, nothing could be further from the truth. I'm a pretty hardworking person. I'm intelligent. I'm educated. But I didn't follow the beaten path that I was supposed to follow, that everybody else followed, the tried and true. I honestly thought I could do things differently. I didn't think I was special, nothing like that. But I thought, people get multiple opportunities in life. Just because a door's open now doesn't mean I have to go through it. Because there'll be other doors that open, there'll be other opportunities, other chances. I think that that actually turned out to be a huge mistake to think that way. I don't need a list of, one mistake. I don't need a list of like 10 mistakes that I made. I'm sure I made a lot and we'll talk about them in the future, but really, like, it sometimes comes down to like one or two defining moments in your life. And very often, all you have to do is misread the situation. You just have to like misjudge the outcome, misjudge how things will turn out. I think that's like fairly easy to do, right? Like most people are in this day and age, we try and remain positive, right? Like we're trained to remain positive. We obviously have a lot of pessimists out there. I tend to think of myself as more like a realist. And that gets messy because a lot of people tend to think of realists as pessimists. But that's not the case. I really do think that like looking at things from a realistic perspective is a lot healthier and safer. I didn't look at things in a realistic viewpoint before. I looked at things from like best possible scenarios, but I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. Like I thought to myself, okay, well, I can not go hard at chasing a career right now. I'm in my early 20s and I can put that off for a little bit. I can put this off for a little bit. I can delay going to school for a little bit because everyone says that like life is not a race. It's not really when you think about it, and at least not with other people, unless you really care about what your peers are doing. I mean, it really doesn't have any effect on your life other than the way you feel about yourself. But life is a race in the sense that you have a finite timeline. We are not here forever. So if there are goals you're trying to accomplish and things you're trying to do or see with your time on this planet, you probably should follow some kind of structured plan. You probably should sit down and maybe make some kind of life plan. When I was in school, I probably should have just finished it. But I didn't really think that taking a step back and sacrificing a little bit of my time for others would be so detrimental. I didn't think that it would actually set me back in life, but it did. So that was a mistake. That was one of the biggest mistakes I probably made in my life. I feel like it's been probably defining, if I'm going to be honest. Just not putting myself first at the wrong point in time. I think that there are times in our life when we have to be first. We have to be a little selfish. We have to be a little self absorbed because how can you do for others if you can't do for yourself, right? If you aren't prepared to get through life and take care of yourself and take care of your own business, there's no way you can help anybody else. No matter how much you want to help other people, you have to be able to help yourself. You have to take care of yourself, right? You can't take care of others if you can't take care of you. That's like this common idea that runs through the healthcare industry, right? That self-care is important because without self-care, you get burnt out. And without self-care, which leads to that burnout, you can't keep doing your job. Self-care helps preserve ourselves. I don't know why I didn't put myself first. Like, not truly. I think about it all the time. I guess I take stabs in the dark as to why, like, I would do that. And I think maybe I wanted to be a hero, but not consciously. Like, maybe I wanted to help save people. Maybe I really thought that I could actually do all of it, like manage everything. But I think that came from like a point of naivety and innocence. Like, in all honesty, um, I hadn't lived enough of life, and I assumed that I knew how life worked. Clearly, I was wrong. And ever since taking that step back, I feel like all I've really done is try and claw my way forward without much success. I feel like at a certain point, it really is too late to achieve certain dreams. So it's not that like life becomes terrible or life becomes unbearable. It's just that you have to pivot. And I think it's probably taken me way too long to realize that, I can find happiness in other things, but I gotta change my perspective, and that the decisions I made a long time ago are coloring my future, right? That unfortunately, the things that I had originally planned to achieve, the things I originally wanted, aren't going to happen because I strayed from the course. And that's not to say that like I'm a bad person or a lesser human, but it's affected a lot of things that I think impact my perspective on myself. Like, my material wealth isn't where I'd like it to be at my age, and my network isn't where I'd like it to be either. I feel like my career paths have always been very limited because of those decisions I made early on. I feel like I cut myself off at the knees. And it took a long time for me to realize that although I meant well, it was most likely those decisions that I made that put me into the spot. The thing is, you can't really like save anyone if you can't save yourself.